Welcome in to the Gaming Discourse. I am Tyler Freader alongside Richard De La Cruz.
Take two.
And Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Connor Freader.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at the Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse. It is October 11th, 2021. Recently on our YouTube channel, we uploaded 2 reviews. So I'm going to, you know what, full disclosure here. We recorded the intro, and then we discovered, and this is my fault, I'm not going to let you take the blame.
All right. I can take
Richard's
half of
mic
it.
was facing the wrong way.
Right.
That was because of how I oriented it for something earlier on.
Right.
The first time I did the intro was much better than what I just did. So I'm a little disgruntled at myself. But anyway, Richard, you put up a review of The Pathless.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
And I put up a review of Industria. Just one clap? Okay.
Just one clap.
It's fine. It's fine. So go check those out. Go like them, subscribe, smash that like button. Give
assault the bell.
Assault and battery that bell and like button.
Just to the point of manslaughter.
Yeah, exactly. And whatever.
All right. Perfect.
and whatever.
We have lots of news.
So,
Video games and whatnot.
all right.
I've lost all my like smooth jazz radio.
But
Driver.
before we screwed up, we were talking about Industria a little bit because I mentioned I liked the video, but I haven't watched it yet, and I got to play Industria a little bit, but it wasn't in a state that we would have liked. So.
I played through it 3 times for the review because it's only a 4-hour game, so it doesn't take that long. And the bugs you encountered on your 5 minutes of just walking around, I loaded up a random save just so you could, run around and check it out. I never encountered those bugs again. So whatever you were floating in midair, it was all kinds of crazy stuff was happening. And so, in my other 2 playthroughs, it was so the Industria is. I talk about it in the review. It doesn't feel like it's completely done. There, even since launch, there was a post-launch update that didn't change the game massively, but I could tell things that were different or added, even text was changed. Some of the way that certain journal entries were written differently. So it's not an early access game, but it kind of felt like it maybe was sort of early access.
Could have cooked a little more.
Yeah, it could have been cooked a little more, even for a 4-hour game. But anyway, I still recommend Industria. It's really cool. It tells a really interesting story. It's very Half-Life-ish.
Okay.
It takes serious inspiration from Half-Life, and specifically Half-Life Alyx, with the way that the main character talks with a side character through a radio as she's going through this. So anyway, to set the stage, Industria is about a woman who she lives in the GDR, right, the German Democratic Republic, in 1989. And on the night of the fall of the Berlin Wall, her boyfriend, it doesn't specify if they're married, but her significant other, they're scientists, and he jumps through a portal. It's kind of unclear why he does this. It's
for science.
Well, the GDR is kaput, right? And it's really unclear as to why. And I actually had some interesting questions about that I didn't address in the review. But anyway, so she chases him into the portal, follows him to try and figure out what's going on. At the other end of the portal is like an alternate universe where an AI has overrun the Earth.
Naturally.
And so there are robots roaming the streets. And she has to, you go through, shoot your way through, and follow Walter and try and figure out what's going on. So it's a really cool premise. And it's really thought-provoking. And it's really
real.
And it has a lot of, in 4 hours, it packs a lot of really fun emotion. I think little tiny pieces of dialogue can go a really long way in making you feel something about a character. And I feel like sometimes people don't take advantage of that, No. Like even just don't. Like a sentence where it's like there's a sentence where the person that she's talking with, he starts to talk and you hear a whistle in the background. And he's like, oh, sorry, I need to go get the kettle. He has a British accent and he comes back. Anyway, as I was saying, and it's kind of funny. And then as the story goes on, they sort of get closer to one another and they start joking with each other a little bit more. And that little moment is sort of the first indication that they're sort of becoming familiar with one another, which is fun. But anyway, it does a really good job of that. So in that 4-hour short story, it finds time to characterize and humanize its characters, which is great. And the shooting's really fun. It's just a basic first-person shooter. You find ammo, smash boxes, get health, stuff like that. Nothing too complicated, but it does everything really well. So I would recommend Industria. The other game I'm playing to review is In Sound Mind, which is it's a horror game, but it's also a comedy. And it's very, I don't want to call it surreal, but it's really strange.
So in the instance of it being like kind of a horror comedy, is it more like Evil Dead?
I've never played Evil Dead. But Seen, yes. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the game by whatchamacallit.
It's not out yet.
But anyway.
There's a couple games.
I have seen Evil Dead, but it was when I was a kid. It's not, I wouldn't say it's that spooky. For like as an example, this is sort of a minor spoiler. So In Sound Mind is about a therapist, Desmond Miles, I think his name is. And
Wait.
Was that Assassin's Creed?
That's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that is Assassin's Creed. Right. Okay.
It's Desmond Wales,
wait a minute.
I think. It's sort of similar to Desmond Miles.
Okay. Shared universe.
It's a therapist named Desmond, and he wakes up in a weird place where he's in an apartment building, and the outside of the apartment building is completely flooded, and you're not sure if it's a dream or like what the hell's going on. It's kind of Silent Hill-ish, right? And as you explore the apartment, you learn he's a therapist, and you go on a quest to figure out what's wrong with some of his patients, right? And so it's there's themes of like mental health and stuff like that, and it's really interesting. But it's also sort of funny. So there's one instance where you're going through a certain level, and there's a fax machine on the ground. And the whole time you're being followed by a character that is villainous, but is sort of villainous in a funny way. And what I mean by this is like you're going through this room, there's a fax machine, and it's a jump scare. The fax machine turns on and it's really loud, right? And then the piece of paper comes out, and if you look at the piece of paper, it says "Go fax yourself." Right? So there's like little funny things like that. And there's like a horror trope, mannequins in horror games. You turn around and a mannequin is there, something like that. And okay, so in Sound Mind, there's a part where you have to open up a locker. So I walked up, hit E, and Desmond's like, "Oh, it needs a key." And I turned around and a mannequin was right there. And I jumped, but the mannequin was holding a key. So I was like, all right. So I took the key, turned around, opened the locker, turned back around. The mannequin had a thumbs up, right? Okay. So it sort of plays on like it's kind of funny in that way. It's similar to Resident Evil in structure, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Like I hadn't heard of it. I saw it on Steam. I was like, what the hell is this? It's got cats and weird lighting and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was like, I'll try it out, and I'm loving it so far. And speaking of Resident Evil, that's the other game I'm playing. All right. So I told you there is one part in Resident Evil 8 that just comes out of left field.
Yeah, it does.
It's like the entire game is great Resident Evil. This is the best. I did not play Resident Evil 6, but I will say, without playing Resident Evil 6, this is the best Resident Evil since Resident Evil 4.
That's okay.
I don't think that's controversial to say.
It's not hard either.
So. I played 5. 5's trash. I've never played 4, but I know 4 is beloved. So
yes.
So this is the best Resident Evil since Resident Evil 4. And the entire thing is great. It's a lot of fun. There's more to like upgrading Ethan, right?
Yes.
Because you can upgrade his health and different abilities, and you can upgrade, there's tons of weapons, and you can upgrade the weapons, and you get better weapons and upgrade those weapons, stuff like that. It's hilarious because Ethan is like the dumbest person on the planet, but he's like a badass. It's just hilarious.
It is funny too because he couldn't care less about anything that's going on. He just wants to find his daughter,
he's very single-minded. like there could be a huge battle happening in front of him. And excuse me, I need to find Rose, my daughter. And I don't know if they do that on purpose. I have no idea, but it's hilarious nonetheless. Like I told you, like one of the funniest things is when you first meet, it's like a witch or a shaman lady, and she's got a staff, and the staff's like covered in skulls, and she has like a creepy cloak on. And it's right after you get introduced to the werewolf people. And Ethan walks up to her and goes, "Hey, miss, it's dangerous out here." And I was like, that's your introduction to this woman? Like, that's the thing? Anyway.
No visual context at all. He's just like,
he's being considerate.
yeah, I guess
it's
so.
like,
It is dangerous out there.
In his mind.
Even for everyone.
In his mind, this is not a creepy old lady. It's just an old lady. And there's something hilarious about that. But what was I? But the entire game's great. But there's one instance where it's just like the developers decided, okay, it's all this over here. 99% of the game is going to be great Resident Evil. This 1% though, this 1% is going to be straight PT.
Yeah,
and you're not going to see it coming.
Yeah.
Or you'll kind of feel like something's going to happen, but you're not going to know what's going to happen.
Right.
And
I didn't expect that.
No. So as I entered this sequence, which is legitimately terrifying, I could tell something was going to happen because there were cabinets, and I could open the cabinet, and I was like, okay. And I got in the cabinet, and I could shut the door, and I was like, okay. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to be running from something and hiding in cabinets, and I don't know when. But that part was legitimately creepy as hell. Other than that, though, but it was good. It was well done. It's not bad. I don't know if I'd call it out of place. It was weird how scary it got because the rest of the game is not that scary.
No, right. No, that's absolutely it. It doesn't go downhill from there, but it doesn't reach those highs.
Doesn't
either.
reach that.
Yeah.
That terror at all.
And considering who is in charge of that area, I think it fits.
Yeah, sure.
For the characters.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's playing Cyberpunk as well. But I would agree with you. I don't think you're crazy. Like, saying Resident Evil 8 is your game of the year, right? I think some people may think, well, but there's not a lot of games that have released this year or whatever. But I think legitimately, like, even if there was like another game of the year contender, I feel like Resident Evil, like it's damn good.
It is. It really is. And there have been lots of games that have released this year.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
really
like big AAA, like obvious,
sure.
like a God of War, if God of War Ragnarok released this year or something like that.
Right.
every time I bring that up, you get like, are you hesitant?
I want to play it again. I'm like, but I just don't have time. There's so much other things to.
Anyway, that's all I want to talk about. Connor, do you want to?
So speaking of Resident Evil, I picked up Dead by Daylight, and there's Resident Evil maps in there and characters.
It is, yes.
And so I picked it up to play with a friend, and I didn't expect to enjoy the game as much as I do. It is addicting. It is really fun. I mean, I've primarily played as a survivor. I've played a little bit as a killer. I primarily play as the nurse. The nurse is difficult. It shows you the challenge of each character. And I was like, oh, this one's hard, but I like their abilities, so I'm going to tough it out.
Okay.
But super fun. I highly recommend it. It's a good game. But yeah, asymmetric multiplayer. You got the hunter / killer, and then the survivors. And the survivors, I don't know if I just didn't like notice much about this game, but there is a surprising amount of depth to like the characters, like more than just like the skill trees and everything. Like there is a substantial amount of lore for each character.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't.
Yeah, and each killer that ggets released with their survivor has like they're involved with each other's lore, and it's really cool.
And I've just been having a lot of fun with it. You and I also played Devour again.
Yeah, Devour.
That game is wild.
Yeah, it's surprisingly. So it's $5.
Yeah,
and it's the co-op game where you have to run around and stop a ritual.
Yes,
and it's unique in that, so it has a little bit of a run and hide horror style to it, because there is a main monster and then there's minions.
Yeah.
And the main monster only hunts you at specific times, but the main monster is always around. So when you're running around picking up objects that you need, you will turn a corner and the main monster will be like right there looking at you, but it's not hostile, it's passive. And as you get further in stopping a ritual,
the time its passive gets shorter and shorter.
Yeah, it becomes more and more hostile. And what it does is if it catches you, it drags you to another place on the map and then leaves you there, and a teammate has to come and revive you.
Okay.
So how you die is you get all 3 characters are downed. Yeah. The minions
are more of just a nuisance than
yeah. The minions make it where you have to keep moving, stuff like that. So you use a flashlight and you can supercharge it to ultraviolet to take out the minions, but it loses its charge, so you have to let it charge back up. So if you keep shining your light at everything, eventually you can't shine your light.
And the ultraviolet light also stuns the primary
the main
monster. Yeah, and keeps it from attacking you for a bit. Devour is really good. Devour is really fun.
Surprisingly fun and full of content. Like, there's only 3 maps, but we've had it for how long, and we just beat the second map?
Yeah, the second map was pretty difficult, and the third map seems like it's just as difficult.
The third map, I think, has my favorite new feature of the game, because the third map involves spiders, and so they put an arachnophobia mode in, and it just turns them into, it just like removes the legs, reduces the polygon count, and they just look like beans on the ground.
Just like beans.
Sliding beans.
I think that's what Grounded did. Like on Xbox Live, there's the base builder game or whatever, but there's spiders in it because you're shrunken down playing in the backyard, and there's spiders, and it just turns them into like kind of blobs. But I don't know, for some reason I feel like that would be just as creepy, if not more.
It's weirder, definitely.
Okay.
But it just always reminds me of when Skyrim released and the people made the arachnophobia mod where there's just the T-posing bear.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. I might have to use that for VR.
Yes.
I don't know. Which is more terrifying, a spider or a T-posing bear menacingly charging at you, and you can't hit it unless you shoot at its feet.
I think I was like, oh, right.
Because the hitbox stayed the same.
The hitbox, I'll stick with the bear. No, I'll stick with the bear.
Definitely.
But that's it for me.
I finished up Tales of Arise.
Hey,
I'm done with that one. Solid JRPG. I enjoyed the ending, although there were a couple of tropey re-entrances by certain characters that were should have been very much dead, and it doesn't. Japanese storytelling, like, they love to do that stuff, and I hate it because there's no emotional, like, it's like, oh, fuck you, like, I dealt with you, like, I don't want to. Yeah. It's like, if you are chained up to like a giant like pillar building that goes up in flames and then crashes, that you should be dead. I don't care.
I mean, it's kind of like horror movies with like Jason and Michael Myers. It's like, yeah, we get it. You're unkillable.
Yeah,
just kill me already.
yeah, for sure.
It should be a 5-minute movie. You show up, you stab the person, you leave, because no one's gonna be able to stop you.
No, right, exactly. And so, anyways, solid game. I enjoyed it. I think I spent like over 50 hours on it. So.
Wow,
nice.
But now I'm done with that. And I was hoping that I can move on to my Castlevania month, which I don't think I'm going to get through because, well, look, I picked up Metroid Dread. So I've been playing that. But along with Metroid Dread, I also picked up Alan Wake Remastered. So there's that. And then we have Back 4 Blood is coming out.
Sure.
And then I think there's something else big at the end of the month. But anyways, I've been playing Metroid Dread. And I'm almost done with it. It's actually not too long of a game. It's about somewhere between 8 and 11 hours. But that's standard for a traditional like Metroid-esque game. But I think that Metroid Dread is absolutely beautiful for a Switch game. There's a lot of argument online about the worth of it being $60 and the length of it, how it looks, whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. It plays amazingly well. The game is really good. I think that there are some weird design choices that I have an issue with, but I understand if other people don't. Particularly, like, they kind of switched up how Samus gets her powers. In every single Metroid, the first power you get is always the morph ball, being allowed to turn into a ball and roll around and stuff. That does not happen for a while in this game. And so it's very awkward. It's not... You just feel like you're missing something throughout a little bit of the game just because you've been doing it for so long.
Sure.
And I don't want to, that's not an issue because you can design it however you want. I'm thankful that they switched it up a little bit. But it just felt awkward, especially when there were places that I was just like, oh yeah, just let me turn into a ball. Because that's like jumping in Mario. For her. It's her like main thing. you eventually get the morph ball way later, and then you can reach new heights. But there are certain puzzling aspects to some of the boss battles or enemy fights that give me a lot of trouble. And there's a lot of like discourse like saying that Metroid Dread is very difficult. And I think it's challenging, but the challenge for me comes from, once again, how this game is designed. I'm going to use the example here. I was fighting a boss that was underwater, and he's this big like Leviathan squid thing. And you are on one side of him, and he's attacking you, and you find ways to shoot his weak spot, essentially. Mm-hmm. And when you do enough damage, he kind of like falls and does not move. He's unconscious for a bit. When that happens, certain areas in the room light up, particularly the biggest of which is this long bar at the top of the map where you have to grab onto a platform so that it can automatically move you to the other side. So visually, that's the biggest thing. That's what my eyes go to. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do there because it lights. It's very obvious. So when I grab onto the platform, it starts moving at a snail's pace, and it's not supposed to move at a snail's pace, but you're underwater. So it's just kind of, you don't even get halfway before he wakes up, hits you off, and do that song and dance over and over. And so I'm sitting here and I'm fighting him so many times. And I don't mind dying in Metroid Dread because the checkpoints are very forgiving. Mm-hmm. They're like right at the door. So it's like, oh, okay, just walk right in. You're going again. So it's not an issue. But after doing this about maybe 3 or 5 times, I was like, what am I doing wrong? There's something I'm doing wrong. And I realized that when he becomes unconscious and everything lights up, behind you, like on the wall, something lights up. And you're supposed to shoot that so it can like, the engine can crank and it drains the water, and then then you grab it and then it slides you over. Okay. Then you do it on that side. And so it's like banging your head into the wall a little bit in order to figure out how to get past the boss. Like I said, for some people that may not be an issue. Like they may have gotten it right away, but I think that because I'm looking at what visuals appeal to me first. Yeah. The biggest thing on the screen is going to apply to me. So
that same thing happens to me because the way my brain works is like, if I were, and I can't think of a specific example off the top of my head, but if I were playing Metroid Dread, my thought process would be, I need to get onto the thing, and then I'll probably need to do something as I'm up there to get it to go faster. Or whatever.
Right. And
as opposed to shoot the thing while you're on the ground, and then like, so like I would be bypassing the step of shooting the button because I would think, like in my mind, I have to get up to the platform first, and then I got to figure out what to do next. So yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So there's a couple spots that are like that. One thing that they give in Samus is kind of not auto counter, but a counter move. So if an enemy attacks you physically, you can, at the right time, hit the X button and she'll knock him back, and it's like a one-hit kill thing. Like if you shoot right after, she'll just blast him. It's one-hit kill. There was a point where I was fighting a bigger enemy. It was more of a cinematic type of enemy who they come back later, but he was a cinematic type enemy. And when I weakened him, it went into kind of a half cutscene, half gameplay. So you have to be ready. And he throws an attack at you in the cutscene. So the camera angle changes, like it's a lot closer, and makes me not ready because I'm like, oh, is this a cutscene? Is this like, And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I hit it, and I hit the counter button, and I counter his first attack. And then he does a second attack, which I'm waiting for. And right when he swings down, I press X to counter because brain is thinking of the timing, but he slows down, and then it does it because it's telling you like, this is when you do it. But because I'm already expecting it, I'm like, hit it again. So it's like, so next time I had to do it, I had to wait when he swung for him to slow down, and then it gave me the thing, and I was like, okay, so my timing is off a bit. These are problems that I'm having. I'm not noticing that a ton of other people are having these issues. It's not, the only way it's ruining my enjoyment of the game is that bosses that I have gone through that I would have loved to have felt badass with defeating, I don't, because I've had to do it so many times, and it's like, okay, yeah. Because they do make Samus badass as she's supposed to be. Like some of the like finishers, some of the like cinematic maneuvers that she performs when taking down enemies is really awesome. And so sometimes that's a big bummer. The Emmys, it's an acronym for EMMI. In certain areas they chase you. I think there's 8 of them, can't remember, but you cannot defeat them, at least at first. They're constantly chasing you when you get into these areas, and if they capture you, they tell you this a lot. It is pretty much you're dead. Like there's no.
Wow.
There are you can counter like their attack on you, but they tell you only have one shot. Realistically, you actually have 2, but it is very, very fast. And they change it every time you get captured so that you don't get used to its pattern. So there are some times where he'll grab you and then his claws will come at you and it'll flash when you need to counter, but it's extremely quick. And then when he grabs you, sometimes he'll pull his face like close to yours, and then he'll flash again, counter. If you don't, basically like huge spike comes out and like jabs you. But
all a xenomorph little mouth.
Yeah. But sometimes, because he has a plate on his face, they have plates on their face. Sometimes that plate opens up, and that's the tell of like, oh, he's gonna do it. But sometimes it doesn't. He'll just attack you. So like sometimes it's quicker than others, and it gets a lot more difficult as you defeat more of them, because of course you're getting later into the game. But it is very good, and I'm almost done with it. I might do a review.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that out loud, but
we'll censor that part.
Yeah.
We want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this episode. They have been silently supporting us since the very beginning, and we felt it was time to give them some love. The like and share buttons have been at our side since episode 1 of the podcast. They can be found just beneath this episode. Please give them a click, it helps us greatly. If you're feeling lucky, click the bell icon to enter for a notification anytime we post new content. You may be surprised by what you get.
EA talked with Eurogamer about microtransactions. Wesley Yin-Poole interviewed EA's chief experience officer, Chris Bruzzo. A lot was said. We can't summarize the entire thing. I will say the interview was absolutely infuriating.
Oh, boy.
And we'll get into why in a second.
Sure. Let's do it.
Among the things that went down, Bruzzo first took issue with a comment section on Wesley Yin-Poole's review of FIFA 22. First, he said that his review was great. Wesley Yin-Poole for Eurogamer brought up micro loot boxes and stuff in his review of FIFA 22. But anyway, Bruzzo took issue with some of the comments on it, calling it vitriolic, and they had a conversation about that.
Sure.
Wesley Yin-Poole, I'm just going to say Wesley because I can't, for whatever reason, I'm just butchering the last name there. Wesley, and we're on a first name basis anyway.
Of course. Why wouldn't you be?
Wes, asked why EA Sports games get loot boxes while other games like Battlefront don't, which eventually led Bruzzo to saying, quote, that whole gamification of what it means to have a different roster of players coming from different backgrounds with scarcity, not the ability just to, grab Lionel and put him on PSG. In fact, we have created these things over a long period of time to actually mirror what it feels like, the tough strategic choices you have to make when you're putting a squad together that works uniquely as that squad you want to manage, that you want to play with, end quote. When asked if he would ever consider taking the ability to spend real-world money on FIFA Ultimate Team loot boxes, taking that option away, you can spend it 2 ways. You can get coins, which are earned in game. You can spend them on the loot boxes, or you can buy a different currency.
Oh yeah,
it's like I forget. It's another type of coin,
and then exchange those for.
And you buy that with real world money, and then you can buy the loot boxes with that money.
Got it.
When asked if he would ever want to take that away, Bruzzo said, "quote 9 out of 10 people spend on FUT packs." And that is the
FIFA Ultimate Team.
And that's not the money one. Anyway, I need to read this. 9 out of 10 people spend on FUT packs. 8 out of 10 people don't spend in FIFA at all. The ability to spend real-world money in the game represents choice for players. I'm 52 years old as of about a month ago. At 52, I don't have as much time as I did before. When I was 22, I could play and build the kind of team that I wanted to build. Today, for me, the choice that I made is to play the game, earn FUT coins, and spend a little bit on FIFA points to help top off my squad. And I feel like that's a choice I should be allowed to make. End quote.
Yeah, it's a choice you should be allowed to make. But you know what else is a really great way of doing that? Is have a fantasy draft. Like a couple Maddens ago, you could do, your franchise mode and you could select to have a fantasy draft. And then you have to do the exact same thing he's talking about, prioritizing which players you have to get, stuff like that. And you don't have to spend money to do it. Shocker.
All right, so this interview was infuriating.
Very.
For a lot of reasons. And I could go on for a long time. And if there's any chance that Chris Bruzzo listens to this, which he's not, but just in case we have a random EA executive listen to this, well, you need to understand that the truth will set you free. So just put your cards on the table. EA makes a shit ton of money from loot boxes, okay? And whatever excuses you need to make to yourself, you can just stop it. Just say, listen, we make a ton of money. Andrew Wilson has a massive salary as CEO, and we have a lot of investors, and we don't want to lose that revenue stream that we've created the past decade and a half, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just say that, because it is beyond silly, the excuses that Bruzzo made in this interview, and I credit Wesley Yin Poole with not completely freaking out.
Yeah.
Because when I got my heart beating. So first of all, again, this thing about time. First, AAA companies do not give a shit about your time. They don't.
If they did, they wouldn't charge you for it.
If you are selling a solution to a problem you created, you could create a way that at 52 you could create the team you wanted within the time you have to play FIFA.
Yeah.
That is not an impossibility as a developer. But you are pretending that it is, which is bullshit. And we all know it's bullshit. So stop using that excuse. The other thing that drove me nuts was his complaining about the comments on, it's like, okay, like Eurogamer can control what people say online.
Right.
And, so I thought that was just ridiculous. Because it came from a place of people work hard on this game and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that is neither here nor there, man. That is completely irrelevant. And so I thought that was just petty and asinine that he would bring that up. Absolutely ridiculous. Asking Wes to speak on behalf of random people on the internet, right? Absolutely
on
stupid.
The subject of comments, Chris, you're a 52-year-old man. Put on your big boy pants and ignore the comments section.
Well, and he makes a good point. Because in the interview, he talks about the vitriol directed toward developers and stuff like that. And I think it does help to understand that these decisions are more complicated than, Andrew Wilson smoking a cigar, oil, see? and they sell a bunch of loot boxes or something. It's more complicated than that. However, that is irrelevant in this discussion. The other thing is, they had this sort of debate about pay to win. And, he kept bringing up this number. 9 out of 10 people don't spend money on these loot boxes, right? And it's like, okay, but that doesn't matter. Because it's still pay to win. And if I'm playing against the one person that spent money, that sucks, right? Yeah. Pay to win is inherently garbage. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. So I don't, And they had this debate, and he sort of just weaseled his way around it.
Yeah.
It does not matter how many people use real money, it's still pay to win. And like, that's the thing. Just say it. Just say our game's pay to win.
Yeah.
The truth will set
That's all
you
you
free.
have to do.
Just say you don't give a shit about the integrity of your product. Just say it. You don't give a shit, but you're making a ton of money. And you go to sleep at night, and you're not, and your family's not ashamed of you or anything. Just, hey, that's fine. Live with that. Like, be honest with everybody. And there was one other thing that drove me nuts. But I'm not. Yeah, that's slipping my mind now.
And he's not going to get. He's going to get these questions every now and again. He's going to get these interviews, but Bruzzo's not going to get the brunt of the anger that comes from it. Unfortunately, that will come to the developers or whoever's making the game. And I get what he's saying about the comment section being vitriolic and stuff like that, but it's like being a politician. We didn't necessarily put Bruzzo in his position, but the people who are playing this game in the comment section are telling you how they feel about this product. But you're sitting there being like, you guys are being mean. And it's like, well, no, like, we're telling you what we want from this product, and you're not giving it to us. And that sucks. And I was going to say, you two have already said it, but yeah, these are a lot of words just to simply say it makes money. And on top of that, the constant like, well, 9 out of 10 people don't buy packs. The math doesn't add up. Like, for how much money they make, there's no way that only 9 out of 10 people are not buying packs.
Maybe. I think
80% of their player base doesn't spend money on FIFA. I find that a little hard.
With what we know about whales in the industry, I don't think it's that crazy.
They'd be leviathans at that point.
I think he's rounding up a bit.
Maybe. I don't think we can. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but
I just want the numbers.
Sure.
Accurate numbers.
But also, isn't it that's always the number you go to? Well, 9 out of 10 people, you always want to make it sound better.
9 out of 10 doctors. 9 out of 10 dentists.
Which does not matter. Like it does. That is irrelevant. It does not matter how many people spend.
Yeah.
The point is that it is a possibility, and it should not be a possibility. So 2 other things. First of all, another thing. He likened spending money to get players to what you have to do as a sports franchise to sign free agents and stuff like that.
But I don't make money off of this.
So I thought that was such a dumb analogy.
Yeah.
Because my mind went straight to what. Are you really comparing buying loot boxes to running a franchise? So what's going to happen next? Is one of your NPCs going to get into a domestic assault allegation, and you're going to have to deal with that, or
shove it under the rug?
I mean, what else is going to happen? Like, are you just going to lose your NPCs to injuries right out of the loot box? How realistic are we going to make? Like, that was such a dumb analogy. Well, it happens in real life. So again, it was excuse after excuse after excuse, which is why just cut the bullshit and just say it makes you a lot of money. Yeah. It's a shitty thing, but you're okay with that.
Because and to piggyback off what you're saying, with the whole, it's realistic to the, to real world. Well, no, because that was already implemented in the game years ago, and you guys skirted your way around it and made loot boxes. You had franchise mode, which is doing exactly what you say you're doing.
Yeah, I want to.
You want to get angry more?
I want to read, because I thought it was just mind-boggling. I want to read the specific. I'm gonna have to, Connor, talk about music for a second or something. Okay, here we go.
God.
All right.
Okay, I found it.
Good. Just in time.
All right, so this is Wesley Yin-Poole talking. I'm reading, so I had to find this. Quote, "The point with the loot boxes is you're buying gameplay-affecting items. Your loot box contains players you use to play in a competitive multiplayer mode." And so he's trying to make a point, end quote. And Chris Bruzzo said, quote, "just like real world football," end quote. His justification is, well, it happens in real life. So, I mean.
But it really doesn't.
Should we have taxes on like in Major League Baseball? Or, I don't know if Major League Baseball has a luxury tax or not. A salary cap? let's do that, Chris. Let's put that into EA because it's just like in other sports leagues around the world. Let's have a cap on how much money you can spend on players in FIFA Ultimate Team. How about that, Chris? That's real life, Chris. How does that sound, Chris? Sorry, now I'm doing... I don't remember the sports guy's name. Phenomenal. Anyway.
Whatever.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. It's too bad. What is up? Phenomenal. Anyway. So I thought that was just asinine. I thought it was completely insane that he said, well, it's just like in real world football, you know?
But it really isn't.
No, because it's nothing like real world football.
Because, I mean, it makes sense, you know, because, you know, when the draft happens, you just pull a name out of a hat and that's the player you get. You don't really get to go through a list and, you know, make deals and pick the players you want. you just randomly get assigned to you after you throw a whole bunch of money at it.
Mm-hmm. That's how the NFL draft works.
Yeah.
You walk up to Roger Goodell and Roger Goodell hands you a box and you open it up and Roger Goodell pats you on the back and throws confetti in your face and you get addicted to gambling. That's how the NFL draft
You forgot
works.
the guitar solo part.
Sorry, Jim Rome. Phenomenal.
Jim Rome, that was it.
Jim Rome is the sports guy.
Jim Rome, the sports guy.
The famous sports guy. Yeah. And there's a I think it's staged a long time ago where he kept calling somebody Chris to make fun of him, and then like Chris said, if you call me Chris one more time, they're gonna fight. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so I think this was embarrassing. I don't think they care. I think EA's making a ton of money off of it, and that's what they care about.
Yes, they don't care.
Absolutely.
The integrity of their games be damned. And the other thing is there is a reason that you can get away with this in FIFA Ultimate Team and you can't in Battlefront. And that's because Battlefront is played by a bunch of nerds who play a bunch of other video games, as opposed to sports games, which have a much wider market. And these people that play sports games, I assume, are not people that are going to spend a ton of money on a bunch of other games because it's a much more casual market.
Right.
So, one, they have more money to spend on video games because they're not buying other games like Metroid Dread or whatever, or
Dead
Industria, right? Or Dead by Daylight. And also, they don't follow the industry. So to them, it's just industry standard, right? A 12-year-old that doesn't play a lot of video games but plays FIFA, this is just the industry standard, right?
Yes.
It's part of FIFA.
As opposed to people like our age that have seen the proliferation of microtransactions and know that it is not as bad in other areas. And it is not because it works here, but it doesn't work here. Blah, blah, blah. Corporate. No, it's because you can get away with it in FIFA because you have streamers and professional athletes and sponsorship deals with leagues. And it's just a different market than it is with not smaller markets, less casual audience games like Star Wars Battlefront, where you get the most download, comment, and Reddit history, right?
Right.
So it's like, get the hell out of here with that. And they know that. They know that's why they can get away with it.
I just realized that I'm going to be agreeing with Chris on one point, that their practices are true to real world, because this is incredibly corrupt and so is FIFA.
Yeah. That may be.
Wow.
That may be true. Phenomenal. All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
That great Twitch hack happened few days ago. First spotted by
no, that's okay.
I had to clear my throat there for a second. First spotted by Video Game Chronicle on October 6th. An anonymous user posted a 125 gigabyte torrent. So that's about a half a Call of Duty worth of data. Heyo posted a 125 gigabyte torrent link to 4chan. Before we get into what's been leaked, Twitch says that personal data does not appear to be a part of the leak, but you should always enable two-factor authentication.
2FA, baby.
Change those passes. For Chris Bruzzo, it's in the game. I'm 52 and don't have time for video games. Sorry, I'm really angry.
You're 52 and a CEO. You have literally all the time in the world.
For real.
I don't. Anyway, back to Twitch. The leaked data includes, and some of this I think may be unconfirmed. I'm not sure if Twitch has confirmed it. But the leaked data includes the entirety of Twitch's source code, creator payouts from 2019 up till now, proprietary SDKs, and internal AWS. I think it's Amazon Web services used by Twitch. Twitch's red teaming tools, which are tools designed to improve Twitch's security by having Twitch staff sort of self-hack Twitch's internal security to sort of test it, right? And an unreleased Steam competitor from Amazon Game Studios, which did not have an official name, had a code name, but I do not remember what the code name was. The/a reason for the leak, we're not quite sure of everything, and there's supposed to be a part 2 that's coming soon. According to the hacker on 4chan, quote, their community is speaking of Twitch, is a disgusting, toxic cesspool, so to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space, we have completely pwned them.
Oh, my lord.
End quote.
Hell yeah.
Which is straight hacker lingo, right?
Super elite lingo.
I mean, it is. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Elite speak.
End quote.
It is. Sure. It is.
There's a beautiful irony that the tools used by Twitch to pretend to be hacked got hacked and taken away from, well, not taken away from them, but copied.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And it is wild that to see what some of these streamers make, at least the top 100. I mean, you knew they make money, and this is not just money that. This is money that they make only from subscriptions. This is not money they made from donations or deals with brands and stuff like that. There's a lot of money to be had here. Looking at you, Critical Role. Jesus. I don't know if you guys seen the numbers, but
I think my eyes glazed past them, but yeah.
It was what, like 9.6 million?
It is a lot. It is a lot. So I don't know what they're going to do involving this. I mean, it doesn't, the things that seem important were the, obviously the source code. I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
The SDKs and internal AWS services. And I guess that's it. I mean, I don't know enough about, what any of this means to make a opinion on what's important and what's not. But I know that mostly everybody's eyes were on the earnings of, the top 50-ish streamers.
Yeah.
Also the fact that, and sorry to bring this topic into it, but also the top streamers, there was no women or people of color. Like there was like one woman in like the top 100, and it's like no people of color. It was just like, but anyways, so I don't know what's going to come of this. And I don't want to say I'm curious. I'm morbidly curious about what part 2 includes. That's probably the one that has personal information.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Unless whoever did this hack decided they didn't want to mess with that.
So that's the thing, because PC Gamer wrote a story, and one of the cybersecurity experts in the story used the word ideological, meaning this seems like this was more of an ideological hack than a criminal hack.
A self-altruistic.
Because the money you could make off of this doesn't seem like you can make a lot of money. Unless you're trying to hold it for ransom, but then you're putting it out on the internet. So it's like, so it doesn't seem like it's something where somebody took something and they're trying to, like the hack of the pipeline and what, Louisiana or whatever it was, Colonial Pipeline hack, right? Couple months ago. Hackers hacked in the Colonial Pipeline, started a gas.
They hacked them good.
crisis.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that was something to make money, not make a statement about, our independent or dependence on foreign oil or some bullshit. It seems like more of an ideological thing where it's like I'm trying to make a point, right? So it's a hacktivism as opposed to, making money. And that's why I think it's interesting. And I don't know if they left personal details out on purpose or not. But if you were a hacktivist doing something, maybe you would, because your target isn't the people that use Twitch.
It's the
it's
company.
sort of the company itself.
Exactly.
I do think it's interesting that they called the community a toxic cesspool. Just because I'd want to know from what perspectives.
Right.
Because I know, like, in the past, especially with a day off Twitch, it seems like people, speaking of LGBTQ, people of color, women, it seems like marginalized people have been able to find niches and things like that. It even gain bigger followings than just being obscure, Now, it is interesting that the money was not going that direction, but it seems like in the past 5 years, that's become much more of a thing than it was before that, right? So the connection I'm trying to make here is like what parts of the community are a toxic cesspool.
Yeah.
Now, I can definitely name parts that I know, right? If you're advocating for people to do a spit emoji at players in a game because they bought some microtransaction or something, like, okay, yeah, I can see toxicity there. So I guess, and I'm wanting like a bunch of clarification from somebody who posted something anonymously. So I'm not going to get it. Nope. It would be awesome to be able to get an interview and ask why. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest takeaways for me is it seems like it's an ideological thing, and that it doesn't, and it from a frustration with the company culture. And yeah, I feel, I don't know. I feel bad for like the average worker at Twitch. I don't know. Because it's hard to, Twitch has a lot of problems, and I don't know who you could put the blame on or the kind of system you could put the blame on. But I'm sure they employ people who is just like, dude, I'm just going to work at Twitch and trying to fix things, and now it's like this. Right? So I feel bad for those people. And, you know, no one's personal information should be leaked or anything like that. Yeah, I think but I do find it fascinating that they posted the thing about the toxic cesspool, because I don't think that's specific to Twitch. I think that's just
internet.
That's just the internet, right? Yeah. Which is unfortunate. Anyway, good. Eidos-Montreal is switching to a 32-hour, 4-day work week, as announced in a blog post. This was announced in a blog post. One thing addressed was if this means Eidos-Montreal has to condense 5 days of work into 4 days. Well, according to the blog, quote, the idea is not to condense the working hours into 4 days, but rather to review our ways of doing things and our quality time invested with the aim of working better. Above all, we want to increase the productivity and well-being of our employees. Concretely, we want to reduce the time at work, but increase the quality of this time invested. We hope that this will eliminate unnecessary time and build on efficiency, for example, by reducing internal meetings from 1 hour to 30 minutes, end quote. Sorry. I just find that funny because it's so specific.
This is wonderful. This is great news. And that is definitely something that happens. I know it's not a comparable example, but it's going to sound silly. You ever have a day when you're playing video games and you just can't get it, like a game that you're normally good at or a game that you're usually progressing in is just kind of like not doing it. Like I chalk that up to gaming fatigue. And it's something that you absolutely get with your job, not specifically gaming, but just fatigue in general. Yeah. And alleviating the issues that cause that, which is constant work without breaks, is probably one of the biggest steps to take to improve, your overall workplace and productivity that comes out of it. So this is wonderful news, and it's interesting that it's 32-hour day, 4-day work week. So that's even shorter than normal. That's below full time, I think.
Yeah, if you consider 40 hours full time. Yeah, which I don't know what in Canada.
Oh, well, sorry. Yeah. Here in Arizona, I think 32 hour, like up to 32 hours is part time.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't. Whatever.
I find it interesting because when we hear about crunch and stuff, we often hear that it's not because there's too much work. It's because it's mismanagement, right?
What? Crunch bars.
Hey-o. No, it's because it's mismanagement, right?
Do we have a zing button there? No. Damn it.
Bazinga. So,
no.
And if the day were managed better, then you wouldn't have the crunch problem, right? Now, this is two separate issues here, but I do think that this is interesting because you don't just hear about them in the games industry, but you hear about in like work in general. Is that there's the famous line in Office Space where Peter is, in every given day I do 15 minutes of good, actual, solid work, because you don't need so much time to do what he's doing. It's just sort of a cultural context or a cultural construct that here's what we have to do. So I hope this works because the games industry needs to be more sustainable. And it needs to be friendlier to its the
people who create the product.
Yeah, to the people that create the product.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, we had a bunch of studios say they're going to try and reduce crunch and stuff like that. So I think this is all steps in the right direction. I think that's something, obviously nowhere close to the end goal, though.
Right. I think that something like this would work very well for a studio like Eidos-Montreal and someone like, we'll say Remedy. Because they're smaller studios, like someone like Sledgehammer, Raven, the guys who do Call of Duty. Like, there's no way they're going to be put on 4-day work weeks. You know, they have to release a game every year. Remedy, Eidos-Montreal, like they release a game like every 2-3 years, maybe. You know, what is the last thing Montreal done? Because they're doing Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
Was it one of the Deus Ex?
I think Deus Ex was their last game.
Yeah,
I'll look that up. But yeah, I mean, I can foresee maybe like 60 to 70% of gaming developers out there moving to something like this, and us having the same amount of releases, maybe even more consistently. Whereas unfortunately places like Call of Duty, maybe like DICE, the guys at EA and stuff like that, they're probably not going to change much because they have to release something every year.
Yeah, that train is just rolling downhill.
Unfortunately.
And you can't, you'd have to do a huge switch to try and change that up. I had something I was going to say, but I don't remember anymore.
That last sentence, this blog post was obviously written by someone who uses the phrase "that meeting could have been an email" a lot.
Yeah, I was going to mention something like that.
There's a healthy amount of bitterness in that last sentence by reducing internal meetings from 1 hour to 30 minutes. There's a jab in there.
It's like that scene in The Office where Jim sits down with Michael to talk to him about the meetings, and he's like, "I want to talk to you about the meetings." Michael goes, "Okay." And Jim goes, "I think they're and Mike goes, "Distraction." Jim, "Yes." Michael, "No." He goes, "I'll tell you why." I just love that scene because it's so important to him that he has these stupid meetings. Anyway. Go ahead.
Shadows of the Tomb Raider.
Shadows of the Tomb Raider. Okay, well, that was still a while ago.
That was 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 3 years.
3 years, yeah. 3 years. On schedule.
Yeah.
Another studio that could probably do that is Supergiant, right?
Yeah.
No? Are you just saying no just to irk me, or?
No. No, they probably could do that, but they're doing fine. They're doing them fine already.
No, I'm a little offended that you just. Oh. It's like, here's a softball 55-mile-an-hour fastball.
Because they just released Hades, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't crunch at all." So
You're right. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I guess.
You should be. Both of you should be sorry.
I don't know why we're angry at each other.
I'm not angry.
No, I'm not angry either, son of a bitch. The California Department of Fair and Equal Housing filed an objection to Activision Blizzard's settlement with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So there's
you can't object me, I object you.
There's a lot of stuff going on here, and it gets somewhat spicier later on. Back in September, Activision Blizzard reached a settlement with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is a federal agency, for $18 million to be set aside for employees who experienced harassment and discrimination at Activision Blizzard. But as first reported by Axios, the terms of the settlement would require employees to release Activision Blizzard from claims under California law. In its filing, the California Department of Fair and Equal Housing said, quote, "DFEH's pending enforcement action against defendants will be harmed by uninformed waivers that the proposed decree makes conditional for victims to obtain relief. The proposed consent decree also contains provisions sanctioning the effective destruction and or tampering of evidence critical to the DFEH's case, such as personal files and other documents referencing sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination." And then later it was pointed out that lawyers that work for the California DFEH also at one point worked for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or vice versa. I'm not sure. There's a lot of lawyer drama going on.
Okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
So let me get, okay. The DFEH was like, "Hey, we're bringing up this to you, 18 million.
So
Activision came out and was like, "Yeah, we settled that." And then they're like, "No, you didn't."
So the
Federal Trade Commission,
the Equal
or whatever.
Employment Opportunity Commission, which is the federal department.
Yes.
I'm going to use department. They may not.
They brought up the charges.
No, so that's what California did.
Yeah,
California first sued them.
Yeah.
The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, I think, is maybe handling something else.
Okay.
But they had a settlement with Activision Blizzard.
Right, for 18 million.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you, as an Activision Blizzard employee,
Yeah.
according to California,
Right.
accepted that settlement with the federal department,
Yeah.
you could then not accept another settlement from California once they
okay.
reach their conclusion.
Got
right?
it.
So if a bunch of people decided, okay, I'll take this settlement, then California wouldn't be able to do the same thing with those people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what's going on. So they're objecting to the settlement, not necessarily because of the amount of money, but because what it would mean for settlements being reached with the Department of Fair and Equal Housing at California, right? Very strange, very weird. I don't know. Honestly, I think we just go back to cutting Bobby Kotick's salary in half, giving that to the workers, and never making a Call of Duty ever again.
Tribute the wealth, yes.
No, I'm not saying that, Connor. I'm not saying that.
Eat the rich.
Yeah.
No, not saying that. Not saying that. No. But anyway, so I don't really have anything to add to this.
Use the means of power.
Our money. Play the communist. No,
We don't have that on tap.
Not yet.
We don't have that on tap. No. But besides the fact that Activision Blizzard sucks.
Yeah, absolutely they do.
And
Oops.
so
Yeah.
but I didn't. Again, this is one of those stories where I didn't want to skip it because it seems important. But as far as commentary goes, it's just like,
It's
hey,
just, we're along for the ride. That's all it is. We're gonna see what happens.
at this point. Okay, I think we're ready for
Little bits.
tidbits.
Mm-hmm.
A man discusses the news, but not like the big news, the little news. Little bit. This is the tidbits.
I wrote this first tidbit about half a week ago. There's an update to it.
Oh boy.
So we'll get to it a little bit. Anyways, Irish singer-songwriter Ava has written a song for a big PlayStation remake game to be announced in December. Ava mentioned that she teamed up with Michael McGlynn to write this music, and McGlynn previously worked with a musical ensemble named Anuna, which Ava is a part of, and Yasunori Mitsuda for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. On the Switch, on Nintendo Switch. This has led fans to believe that this remake could be a remake of the PlayStation title Xenogears, which is a long time ago. Also, it should be noted that the Metal Gear Solid ending theme, The Best Is Yet to Come, is sang in Gaelic. So this is the update.
Yeah, it starts with Gaelic opera.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the update. A Virtuos employee's LinkedIn account has confirmed an unannounced remake for PlayStation is coming. And of course, Virtuos was the developer who is supposedly making a Metal Gear Solid remake of some sort.
Yeah.
Either Metal Gear Solid 3 or Metal Gear 1. We don't know.
Yeah, that's correct. Interesting. All right.
Speaking of loot boxes and Eidos, Avengers has added paid XP boosts to its game after stating that it would not. This comes months after Crystal Dynamics and Montreal. Wait, was it Crystal Dynamics? Anyways, Eidos-Montreal made the game grind harder for fear of player drop-off and players getting through the game too quickly. And then 2 years ago, during the Square Enix press conference at E3, I believe, they announced that there would be no loot boxes or pay-to-win mechanics.
Can I pause tidbits for a second?
Can I finish? Can I finish?
I'm sorry. No, I apologize. It's Richard's segment, and I'm always just busted in.
No.
Hey, shut the hell up, Richard. It's my turn.
I end this tidbit with "welp," so I assume we wanted to talk about it.
What does it tell you about the industry that on one hand, when a game doesn't have loot boxes, they tweet it out like it's, hey, listen up, no loot boxes, baby. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But on the other hand, they're like, hey, man, it happens in real life, bruh. Like, this is soccer, bruh. Or football, whatever the hell you people call it in Europe. This is football, bruh. Yeah. Like, really? That's what you, like, God. Anyway, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, from 1975, 76-ish to about 2007, we had no DLC, no loot boxes, no nothing. So we were good with that.
The golden years.
Yeah, the golden years.
Before the doctor. Before the Empire.
Bittersweet news. Wait, bittersweet news? That's not the... Dragon Quest composer Koichi Sugiyama passes away. Well, he was an absolute legend with his music. The overture for Dragon Quest is one of the best pieces of video game music I've ever heard. However, this guy was a piece of shit.
Oh, no.
He was a Holocaust denier. Also, he claimed to believe that Korean women enjoyed being comfort women in World War II. There's a lot of other stuff. He took out a full-page ad to say some BS. Anyways, wonderful music, terrible person. So, I'm kind of half and half to say, like, rest in peace, but also... he was also responsible for, like, holding... With how good he was with the Dragon Quest music, he was also responsible for holding it back, because up until the recent release, Dragon Quest XI, it was still, like, MIDI music.
Okay.
So... But he's also responsible for there being orchestrated video game concerts, like, to an extent. So it's kind of like, what do you want, man? Anyways... a developer for Ghost of Tsushima insinuates that there are more announcements of games coming sooner than you think for PS5. On Twitter, a user complaining about few AAA releases on PS5 was replied to by a Sucker Punch dev who stated, quote, "People assume now that there will be no games in between because Sony hasn't announced anything for that time span yet? Okay." And he ended it with ellipses as if, like, there may be something coming.
Let me backtrack. I scoffed.
Yeah.
I don't know what this person said on Twitter, but in my mind, it was the person who... We need to come up with a name that's more than the gamer TM, like something else. I don't know.
The Nintendo 64 launched with 2 games. Like, we have not... This has always been the thing. Like, at least a year and a half before we start getting it. Like, PS3 got Uncharted, but I mean, we got Metal Gear Solid 4 like a year and a half later, a year later,
Yes. And we also have pandemic to think about.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Everything has been completely up in the air.
And also, like, the thing is, like, there are people, and I see this all the time, like, what is your biggest waste of money? It's like, well, the PS5. And it's like, well, no, it's not, because you still have a PS4, goddammit. You just now have a PS5. Yes. Like, it's not, you didn't lose anything. You only gained.
You could have waited.
Well, that too, but.
It's like, I understand. I don't know. Like, that. And it's not like Resident Evil 8, amazing on the PS5. Returnal, really fun.
Ratchet and Clank.
God of War looks amazing on the PS5 with the update.
Kena, Bridge of Spirits is apparently very good.
So there's like there's stuff you can play on a PS5, but you're complaining about 4 studios that haven't released a game: Guerrilla,
Sony Santa Monica,
Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, and
Sucker Punch just dropped Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, and they just did their next game's not going to be out for 2 or 3 years probably, because they'll probably do a Ghost of Tsushima remake, or not a remake, a sequel, I would imagine. Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima.
Anyway, maybe
Invasion Part 2.
Maybe
well, there was 2 of them, so.
Yes, you are correct.
Yes.
Maybe a fall state of play is on the horizon. Who knows?
Oh boy.
Monster Hunter Rise will not implement cross-save for its PC release. This was announced today, and Capcom released a poll about last week asking fans what they would like for the PC release of Monster Hunter Rise. One of the selections was cross-save between the Switch and the PC version. This selection won handily in the polls. Capcom released a statement today and said, quote, "We've heard your requests for cross-save/cross-play for Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak, but unfortunately, after looking into it throughout the development process, we found we are unable to implement it this time. As always, we appreciate your continued feedback and support." First off, why suggest it?
Yeah. Before you make a poll saying, hey, what do you want? Make sure you can do the things that are on the poll.
Yeah. And then secondly, they even said throughout the development process, so even before they released the game, they knew they couldn't do it apparently, but they still were like, hey, do you guys want this? Oh, sorry.
You guys want this? That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. Oh, boy.
What does it feel like to want?
That's it for the tidbits.
Oh, okay. Did you skip a tidbit there?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, okay. Because you insinuated like you were about to drop a crazy tidbit on us. Or
I was thinking of like apparently Bloodborne 2 is rumored to be in development. From what's his name? That guy you like.
Jim Rome?
No one else likes him. Colin Moriarty.
Oh, Colin Moriarty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that I like Colin Moriarty.
Oh.
I don't really know of an opinion I have on Colin Moriarty.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Apparently, he was talking on a podcast and said that they're re-releasing Bloodborne on PS5, like Blue Point is apparently. That's like their second thing, and then they're going to work on a Bloodborne sequel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
At least that's what he said.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking it was Jim Rome the whole time. Sorry, all I can do is phenomenal. And
I forgot what
now I'm
his
just
show
going
is
to bring up.
called.
It's
Rome is Burning.
Rome is burning. That's right.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I mean, like, I would watch like the first like minute or two and be like, nah.
Yeah, he's not someone I'm a fan of. I'm more fan of the cadence.
Yeah.
Right? Because who couldn't be? Anyway. Okay. Well, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse. Check out the Patch List review. Check out the Industry review. And we may not have a podcast next week. We'll follow us on Twitter, what the hell ever, and we'll figure out. Chris, if you're still listening, shoot us an email.
Give us a call, bud.
Give us a call. We'll talk.
We know you're 52, but you can send us an email.
I don't know if you'll have time, so give me $50, and I'll email you so we can save you some time.
Yeah.
That's
Time savers.
Yeah, time savers. See you later. Bye.